Today the temperatures are up a little bit, so I'm looking to create a sort of fall of the maggots through the water. With that kind of rig, the feed is effectively going to go straight to the bottom. You're not going to get too many maggots coming out on the way down, so you're effectively looking there more for a rig that you'll use in winter, where you don't need to draw fish into the peg. The fish will be somewhere near the bottom and you're just creating a nice little tight area feed. On a day like this where the temperatures are up just a little bit, I want some bait falling through the water, so I'm actually going to use a variation on this rig with a few different elements incorporated into it. So the first thing is I'm going to use a long link rather than that standard clip link. You can see there this one's a long one from Preston Innovations. It's probably about 3 or 4 inches long, and this is going to create a Paternoster, which is again a bit more of an advanced feeder rig, but it allows me to fish the bait a bit more through the water column without using a really long hook length. So that's going to go on as a change there. Exactly the same thing again, create my twizzle boom, but this time it's not going to be as long because I'm going to use an extra link of line in between this and the hook length. So I'll probably only do the twizzle boom this time, about 3 or 4 inches long. And again, if you pull it down tight there like that, you can see that it makes that loop that bit smaller. And again, when you're trying to keep the rigs nice and neat and compact, it's a useful little thing to do that. So making a twizzle boom there, not too long, probably about 2 or 3 inches this time. Exactly the same way of sealing that twizzle boom off. As you can see, like so, a little figure of 8 loop. Pull that down nice and tight. As always with your knots, wet them, and when you pull it tight, give it a couple of seconds to bed down, especially because using a doubled up length of line, it needs that little bit longer to bed in. Otherwise, when you do hook a decent fish, that knot will tighten down and effectively strangle itself and break, which is the last thing you want on a commercial fishery. So you can see there, the little twizzle boom, exactly the same thing again. Just going to put a little number 8 stot on there, and that's going to create the stop. Use stots for this rather than shot, because obviously shot damages the line a lot more than stots. Stots are a much sort of softer lead. It's just going to bite that on the line nice and gently, just trim that down a little bit. Again, you don't want the tag end too long because it can cause tangles, but equally don't cut it too short just in case the knot does budge if you hook a big carp. So you can see there I've got a twizzle boom, and it's up to that this link will stop. As you can see there, just kicks out from there, and what I'm going to put in there now is a fluorocarbon link about 18 inches long. And this is effectively going to be an extension of that twizzle boom, but the reason why I'm using fluorocarbon in this case, if I can get it open, is the fact that it's actually stiffer than the main line. Although it's the same diameter of 018, it's much stiffer, and equally it's clear. You can see there the way it comes off the spool, it actually is fairly kinked the way it does it. So what you want to do is give yourself a decent length of line, and then what I'm going to do is tie a loop in each end. Again, all you use is one of the census loop tyres, and these help you keep your loops nice and small and nice and regular. Really useful bits of kit. So well worth acquiring if you struggle with tying loops to a decent sort of small size. Just going to tie a loop in one end. Again, wet the knot. And as always, especially with fluorocarbon as well, you need to give it a chance to bed down because it doesn't have the same level of stretch that you get in mono. So exactly the same, just trim that off. As I say, I'm giving myself probably 18 inches, and what this is going to create is sort of a junction between where my feeder link is there and the hook length. Because the hook length I want to use is quite fine for presenting a maggot hook bait, so I can get away with small hook lengths, but the problem is with those that they're more likely to tangle and spin up when you're retrieving. So that's the job of this link, is to take out some of that spin and kick the little hook length away after the cast. So although this might look complicated, hopefully as we go through the session I'll be able to explain why I'm using it. So I just have to thread this on here. It might be a bit fiddly because I've tied that loop really small. Again, worth taking your time over your rigs when you are starting a session like this. So I'm just attaching that in the same way that you'd attach a loop-to-loop hook length. And what this little link here as well will also allow me to do is change hook lengths really easily without having to sort of carry long hook lengths. What I'm going to be using today is actually a 6-inch pole fishing hook length, as I was saying about being able to keep versatile with my hook patterns and keep changing them. It's a bit fiddly to get this threaded through here, but it means I can use different hook lengths, change them nice and easily, and as I say, I'm not having to tackle down sort of a 2-foot hook length or cut anything down. If I need to change anything, I could just change this link should I need to shorten it. So I'll just try and thread this through here because I've made the loop very small. Leave that to sort in a second. But basically all I'm going to attach onto the end of there now, you can see this is almost the finished rig. All I've got to do now is attach a feeder and a hook length. So my feeder's going to sit on there. As you can see, this boom that I've created, I'll finish those loops off in a second, kicks that away from the feeder, and then we've got a nice long 18-inch section of 018 fluorocarbon there. Onto the end of that I'm going to put on, as I said, a standard 6-inch pole hook length that I've got tied up here, so I've got plenty to go at. I've got a choice between sort of silverfish hook lengths and carp hook lengths, but because I'm using a fairly thick almost leader type there, I can step up from, saying, I might start on an 010 fluorocarbon hook length to a little 18 silverfish maggot hook, and I might move on to sort of carp hook lengths with 013, bit stronger gear. Again, just depends what we're catching, but it's dead simple. And the principle behind this is twofold. What I'm looking to do is actually catch fish as the feed is just settling. I'm using a feeder that I've modified, which I'll run through when we actually start fishing, of using bigger hulls. So what I'm looking to do, as I said, it's sort of an evolution on the maggot feeder itself, is try and create a column of bait falling through the water. Now that the temperatures are warmed up, those fish are going to come up in the water column, and I need to sort of draw them down to where I can catch them on the feeder. By using a nice long link and this long 18-inch section of fluorocarbon there, then the maggot's going to follow the feeder down much further behind the feeder when it's falling. So as that feeder goes through, the fish have longer to see this hook length, and hopefully by using a stiff link of the fluorocarbon there, get good bite registration. So I'll quickly finish this rig off, show you the feeders, and then we'll start fishing. And as I say, try and put it into practice and show you what we're actually doing and trying to achieve by making these changes to the rig.